For almost 2 decades, they seemed unbreakable. A radiant actress and a soulful musician, defying every rumor that fame poisons love. Then, in 2025, the facade cracked wide open. He slipped out of their quiet country home without a word. Days later, she signed the papers, and the secrets she'd buried for years finally clawed their way into the light. Picture the red carpets, the intertwined fingers, the whispered vows under flashing bulbs. Everyone called it proof that real love could survive the spotlight. But those perfect moments hid a slower, sadder truth. A woman who kept forgiving, a man who kept drifting, a marriage that started with fireworks and ended in silence. They crossed paths in 2005 at a star-studded gala honoring their homeland. She was 38, fresh off an Oscar, still aching from a brutal split that cost her 2 children she barely saw. He was 37, a rising voice in country music, wrestling shadows of addiction that threatened to swallow him whole. 2 strangers, they were oil and water. To each other, they were 2 fractured hearts craving the same missing piece. Home. He waited months to dial her number, terrified she was out of his league. When he finally did, the spark caught fast. Less than a year later, they exchanged rings in a candlelit chapel overlooking the ocean. She walked the aisle in flowing white. He serenaded her under the stars. Guests wept. Headlines screamed fairy tale. Reality arrived for months and he checked into rehab again, blindsiding her on their honeymoon glow. Most would have run. She stayed, visited every weekend, shielded him from gossip, told herself love meant second chances and third and fourth. She wasn't just saving him, she was rebuilding the family she'd lost. Years rolled on. Award speeches where he choked up, calling her his lifeline. Magazine spreads where she beamed, saying he'd healed her. 2 little girls arrived first in 2008, then 2010. From the outside paradise. Inside, the distance grew. Endless tours, late-night calls that stopped coming. Her fear of another empty house colliding with his need to outrun the quiet. She waited by phones. He buried himself in chords and crowds. Graceful, relentless, she patched every leak. But even oceans wear down mountains. By their 10th anniversary, the smiles felt rehearsed. The hand-holding, staged. They promised never more than 2 weeks apart. Life laughed and stretched those weeks into months. If this story already hurts, imagine living it. Share it now if it's stirring something and use someone else needs to feel less alone. Resentment replaced passion. She craved presence, he craved escape. The world kept cheering for Hollywood's last true romance, so they kept performing. Shoulder kisses for the cameras, matching quotes in interviews. But friends saw the strain in her eyes, the way laughter died too quickly. She was tired of being the only one still fighting. By 2023, rumors swirled. Separate bedrooms, separate lives. He was gone more than home. She told herself it was another rough patch. Refused to lose 2 more daughters to distance. Still, the silence between them grew teeth. Early 2024, she flew overseas for a dreamy sequel shoot. Colleagues noticed her voice soften when his name came up past tense. Slipping in. Back home, he rented a quiet loft downtown, telling buddies he needed space to breathe. She thought they were working on it. He'd already decided they were done. June brought one last public sighting, a kid's soccer game. They sat stiff, inches apart, that felt like miles. That night, he packed the last bag. She returned from London to echoing rooms, and a note that never came. No fight, no goodbye, just absence. Whispers of a younger musician on his tour bus started circulating. She heard them, swallowed the sting, and focused on bedtime stories and school runs. September 30th, 2025, she filed. Simple words on paper, irreconcilable differences. The world assumed she pulled the trigger. Truth was, he'd walked months earlier. Filing was her way of closing the door he'd left swinging. Custody lines drawn gentle but firm most days with mom. Summers and holidays with dad. No alimony. Money never mattered. Stability did. 3 days later, he took the stage ringless, twisting lyrics of old love songs into something sharp and final. The crowd gasped. She stayed quiet. Dignity her only armored dot. In a quiet magazine profile days before the news broke, she stared at the interviewer and whispered, "How many times does life have to teach you that the path you see isn't the one you'll walk?" Friends say she still loved him, would have taken him back in a heartbeat. But love stopped being enough when only one person was carrying it. She learned he'd already signed weeks prior. Learned some album tracks echoed private fights she thought were sacred. The betrayal cut deeper than the leaving, yet she refused vengeance. No scorched earth. Just 2 girls, 1 woman, and the resolve to stop rescuing someone who no longer wanted the rope. Fall faded into winter. Paparazzi caught her walking Nashville sidewalks, daughter's hands in hers, face calm but eyes carrying fresh steel. Friends say the hardest moment wasn't the empty closet. It was realizing he'd checked out long before his boots hit the driveway. She fought until the battlefield was empty. Today, she's choosing mornings without apology. Script readings by firelight. Laughter that isn't rehearsed. The perfect marriage is ash. But something sturdier is ricing a woman who finally put her own oxygen mask on first. She once said, "You can't control the story, only how you live it." She's living it now. Head high, heart scarred, but open. If her quiet courage moved you, hit share. Someone scrolling needs this reminder that walking away can be the bravest love of all. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. More raw Hollywood truths coming soon.